Welcome to part 2 of this wooden surfboard build. In the last video we laser cut the frame, we glued it to the bottom skin and it already started to look a little bit like a surfboard. I prepared the wooden pieces for the rail and in this video we're gonna steam bend them and glue them on. We're gluing on a fiberglass reinforced deck skin and we add some nose and tail blocks. So the first thing I'm gonna do is trim down the bottom skin so my clamps can really get to the stringer pieces that I have to glue in. I 3D printed an end cap and some coupler pieces for my drain pipe, and this is gonna be my steam chamber to steam the small wooden pieces for the rail. Combine the drain pipe setup with a cheap steaming machine and you have a very professional steaming chamber. I had to use the soldering iron to melt some holes into the end caps to let the steam flow through the chamber, but then I got a bit distracted. I tested the steam chamber and it seems to do its job, so it's time to put the first rail pieces in and see how flexible they come out after about 15 minutes. The plastic drain pipe got so hot that it started to bend a little bit, so hopefully the same thing happens to the wooden pieces inside. Before I get the wooden pieces out of the steam chamber, I apply some glue to the board. Grab one. Big steamy bath. Probably very hot. Yeah. With the help of my amazing girlfriend, we put the rail piece in its place, clamped it down with some 3D printed clamps and did the other side as well. With all the DIY clamps in its place, I used the rocker bank again to make sure the rocker stays in the board. The next day I put my bike outside, I removed all the clamps and released the rocker bank to see how the first rail piece turned out. I forgot to film it, but the first deck to rail connection turned out great, so it's now time to add on some more rail pieces. I spent a couple days gluing in these rail pieces and clamping up the rocker bank. And after a few days I thought the rail was big enough. Just to be sure, I added 2 more short rail pieces in the middle of the board where the curve of the deck would be the biggest. I didn't even have to steam bend these ones because they were so short.
First looks at the rails. What do you think?
I don't know, mate. I'm just trying something new. Looks like a surfboard with a harpoon on the front.
Looks like one of those fish with the swordfish. That's the
swordfish, mate.
That's the name.
Okay, so I'm now finding a way to trim down these rail pieces so that the top half of the wood that I'm gonna glue on later flows nicely with the curves of the frame and then connects to the rail. Now that the rails are attached to the board, I could start shaping the rails a little bit better. So I had to draw the outline of the board on the underside, because then I have a guideline of how far I need to trim them. Okay guys, so I marked my fin boxes. 8 inch from the tail, 1 1/4 inch from the rail, it's this farthest one, Then I put my shaper square on it with this hole and 1/8 of an inch toe in. Then I align one of these lines with the stringer and then I mark it over here. So I have now 2 points in which I'm gonna draw a line. And this is the line where the fin will come. I drilled some holes in the points that I just marked so I can know where to put foam on the other side of the board. I flipped the board around and added some pouring foam so that the fin boxes can be glued into that foam and not into a hollow cavity. I did exactly the same for the leash plug. Then I drilled a hole through the deck and I made sure to drill some small holes in the foam underneath so it can breathe to all the parts of the board. This is a breathing wooden leash plug that I bought from Science Surf. It has a Gore-Tex membrane so it's able to breathe without letting water in or out. This is needed because it's a hollow board. When the air inside gets hot it will expand and it has nowhere to go. So through the breathing leash plug it can now escape the board. While I was talking about leash plugs, you can see me laminating the inside of the deck skin. I did this to make sure the deck skin has enough rigidity for my feet stamping on it. I don't know if it was really necessary, but it was just a precaution for extra strength. And I put a bead of epoxy and cotton fiber that functions as a glue on the sides and on the frame. So me and my girlfriend are gonna pick the frame and put it upside down on here, ratchet strap it, then put it in the rocker table. So we put the board with the fiberglass now on the inside in the rocker table and tightened the nuts to clamp the board into the rocker shape. Hopefully the deck skin will now smoothly glue to the board. Just to be sure that gravity didn't pull the fiberglass down from the deck skin, we flipped around the whole rocker bank. We left the epoxy to cure for 2 days inside the greenhouse and then we took it outside and got the board out of the clamp. Then it was time for me to remove the excess deck skin and really make it look like a surfboard. So I spent an hour or so trying to blend in the deck to the rail. Not very successful. There's lots of gaps, lots of weak points because of a very thin layer of wood now. So I think I'm gonna have to cover it with a strip of carbon, somehow make it look good. I don't know. A little bit disappointed, I started to clean up my garden because I made a real mess of it. Luckily this is all just natural stuff and not styrofoam or any other surfboard material. Now that the bottom and deck skin are glued to the frame, I have 2 open ends on the board. One open end is in the nose and one open end is in the tail. So I'm gonna fabricate a tail block and a nose block to glue onto the board later on. Off camera I steam bended some pieces of wood and glued them together in a curved shape. And I'm now gonna have to combine these to get them into the perfect shape of the fishtail. Together with my girlfriend I did a lot of measuring before I could make the right cut. And then I took it over to the chop saw with the laser to make an accurate cut where the 2 pieces join together. I also made a small nose block that was far less complicated, and the next day I could start attaching it to the board. And it didn't fit. The nose of the board was way too wide for my small nose block, so I had to widen it a little bit with some more planks. I test fitted the new nose piece the next day off camera, and now I'm gluing it on by turning the board upside down and letting gravity press them together. Now it's time to trim off the excess and shape the nose of the board. slowly the nose piece is taking shape. For the finer details I took it inside to my shaping bay and put on the shaping bay lights. This way I could shape this nose piece to perfection. Smooth enough. So we're now going to focus on the tail. Now it's really starting to look like the end shape of the board with the fishtail cut out. I really love the look of a fishtail in a surfboard. So I put the surfboard upside down and made sure it couldn't fall over, and I temporarily glued the tail block to the board so I could shape it first, remove it, hollow it out a little bit and then glue it in permanently. So the tail block is now shaped and this video is getting way too long, so I'm gonna end it here. So this is the end of part 2. Hopefully I see you next time in part 3, where we are gonna glue on the tail block permanently. We do some final details like the fin boxes and the leash plug, and maybe even laminate the board. Thanks for watching and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or suggestions. Bye!